What, I'm on now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going through posterior tilt with the shoulder blade in rowing motions and how the shoulder blade should glide on your rib cage so that you have optimizing the shoulder. But most people, they want to go into deep depression and drive that shoulder blade down and then only overlap that thing to death, taking your upper trap and your mid-low trap and everything out of the scenario. What we really want to do is most people will have this anterior tilted position to the shoulder blade and it's kind of protracted out. So we still want to get a decent amount of retraction, but we also want to think posterior tilt of the shoulder blade. The posterior tilt is actually more important. So a little bit to rest there. Let it come back forward, so we're going to just shake out. All right, so move this out a little bit. Okay, pull it right there. Right there, posterior tilt, and pull, 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 pull. That's a lot better. So we want to get this posterior tilt. We still want the shoulder blade to glide forward and to glide back into position. A little less lat. Rotate your hand as you come through. So I'm going to help you out. Okay, go for it. Yeah, that's better. So we want to use these muscles right through here, this kind of mid-low trap area, because these will help. And like that one, did you see how she just way overused that upper trap muscle? That upper trap muscle will anterior tilt that shoulder blade as well as your pec and your lat. So if we use too much lat, it's just going to pull that shoulder blade into position that we don't necessarily want. Whereas if we use this mid-low trap to kick that shoulder blade into position and that serratus anterior pull under to posterior tilt the shoulder, then we can actually get that humerus bone to spin inside the shoulder the way that we want and to get that extra rotation for the rotator cuff and everything else so that the shoulder can function the way that it should function. If we don't do this and we leave the shoulder hanging out forward, come around here and I'll show you. So leave the shoulder forward, pull through. All right, dump it out. Really make it obvious to them. They'll do this. And that's basically this bone and all these bony structures out here are pushing out against the front of the tissue, that soft tissue in the front of the shoulder. Eventually it's just going to get angry and that's an injury, right? So if we do it the other way around, so we get in position, get that mid-low trap, yep, kicked in, and we get this nice posterior tilt like that as she pulls through, then she's getting these muscles through the mid-low trap to actually kick in so the shoulder blade does what it's supposed to do, so the shoulder can do what it's supposed to do. And then from an aesthetic standpoint, this puts it in concrete. So her shoulder is actually more attractive in that higher functioning position. So if we look at like the bodies that we find to be the most attractive bodies, they're the ones that function the best, the best athletes, because they function the best, right? Do you want to try it out and switch?
Yeah.
Because you have a little bit more traumatic shoulder. So if that muscle, if we can get the muscle to function right, then the aesthetic of the muscle will look a little bit better. Also, we won't just be like, if we're just lat, like Thomas really does this, like depress the shoulder blade. See, now he's going to be engaging his shoulder blades to drop lower and lower and lower, which we don't want, because then his neck is going to look longer, he's not going to look as good through the shoulders, and the shoulders aren't going to function as well, and he's going to get a bunch of referred pain from sternocleidomastoid scalene and subclavius down the front of the shoulder, down the back of the arm, and numbness in the fingers, which is indicative of future thoracic outlet syndrome. So we want everything to work congruently the way that it's supposed to. So we need a little bit of elevation, not quite so much. All right, and then we need that shoulder blade posterior tilt. Yeah, you're in a good position. Go ahead and row. Pull with the elbow. That's actually pretty darn good. Yep. And what we don't want to do, we don't want, like a lot of the errors that we see, people will take this elbow too far past the body, dumping the shoulder forward and going into that anterior tilted position that just wreaks havoc on everything. So if you want your shoulders to look better, you need to row correctly and get that serratus anterior to function the way it should, so that they sit where they're supposed to sit, but also so that you get the muscle development that you want to get, plus the function, plus you're being proactive in preventing the injuries that you could get. And this is just very, very, very far-reaching stuff. That's pretty good. We want to get this posterior tilt. We don't necessarily want to drop the shoulder blade down. We don't want to raise it up to the ear. We don't want to think just retraction, like just retract it to that. Here on this one. Really pull back. Like that's not the whole show. Like it's not just about pulling that shoulder blade back. Even though when we do retract to the position that we want, we get about 500% more subacromial space, which is the space between this upper arm bone and all the structures inside. So that's a good thing. You want a lot of this subacromial space. But at some point we lose the utility of it. So get to where you get the utility. Yep. And then posterior tilt and then pull through. It's probably just a little bit too far, right? And stop here. Come up and through. There you go. Yeah, right there. Now go ahead and row. Stop. Do that again. Put that in front. Posterior tilt, row. But this way, he's getting that mid-low trap, but he's also working congruently with all the other muscles. So Like he's got to work his bicep, he's got to work his upper back, he's got to work his mid-low trap, he's got to work his lat a little bit, but they all have to work together to be able to pull this off. And when they work together, we're going to get the muscle development that we really do want and the aesthetic appeal that we really do want. Okay, what else you got? Is that enough?
So what are you guys doing right now?
We're doing continuing education for the week. We're a staff in service. Yep.
Maybe it's better.
Watch it. Let's look at them right from behind, and maybe they'll be able to see it a little bit better.
Okay.
So yep, come up just a little bit more. Think. Yep. Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good position. Yeah. Not that. Yep. So I'm gonna block your shoulder blade. Go ahead. Yep, right there. That's not bad. That's not bad. Think of pulling this under while you point that bicep up to the ceiling a little bit more. No. Start over. Relax. You start tensing here. Yeah, you got it. Let that shoulder blade. So I'm just gonna block your shoulder blade here. Now follow my right there. Done contracting or done retracting. Done posterior tilting. That's all it's gonna be. Yeah, that kicked in a ton more. Yeah, right there. Yep, a little bit more lat. So let that come up. Right. Yes. Where you are right now. Stay right there, shoulder blade wise. Pull the elbow. Feel it more there. Yep. It's a lot better. So Thomas sits, do you notice how he sits like quite a bit downward slope to his upper back? Like those should actually be just a little bit higher. And that's not just something he was born with. That's something he's trained himself to over the years of deadlifting and bench pressing, where you're trying to really pull these down so that your arms can be longer to get to the bar. Because he's like pretty strong power lifter at this point. But in order to have long-term health and to get the upper back that he really wants, he needs to raise these up a little bit so that these are always on stretch. Now, a lot of people, like when people say that they carry all their tension through here, it might be that they carry a little tension through there, but mostly this is already on stretch because everybody's pulled so low. We need to pull them up a little bit so that they can get this mid-low trap to actually come through the way it's supposed to.
Cool.
Anyway, thanks for watching.